What's up, sports fans? Welcome back to FNN Sports Take with me, Kasey, Hudson. I'm excited to see you guys for week 2. I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty exciting for me to at least be able to still connect with everybody here, even though we don't have games in that environment and atmosphere to enjoy together. But we only have a few updates, and then we have a special guest with us today, which I'm super psyched about as well. So for one of our quick updates, we were telling you guys about the pro league teams that are making decisions on how to resume games and practices and what their plan potentially is going to be. A couple weeks ago, we were explaining to you guys that the MLB as well as the NHL were discussing going to isolated points such as South Dakota, and then the MLB was talking about heading to Arizona. Well, we mentioned that players weren't too stoked about that, and then a very significant player spoke out as to why he doesn't think that that's a doable situation. Clayton Kershaw speaks out as to why he does not think that that is doable. He said that, you lose the product on the field because guys are not in their natural element. So he doesn't agree with the fact of being isolated and away from everybody for 4 to 5 months, because they're talking about quarantining athletes for 4 to 5 months, keeping them away from their friends, their families, their complete outlets, and just having them complete the season out in Arizona where they can control everything going on. So Kershaw's not on board. A few other players spoke out as to why they don't think that that'll work out either, but they're all kind of backing what Kershaw said, that it's going to take away that natural, that authenticity, as an athlete and what the game brings. So give us your thoughts of whether you think that that's actually going to be a realistic way to get sports up and running again, to just take these teams somewhere and have them isolated. Like we mentioned, the NHL was kind of kicking around the same idea. For the most part, it looks like most teams, depending on how many games they had to fulfill in their season, are just going to look to try to finish those games out and push back the 2020 to 2021 season. So hats off to the MLB and whatever they decide to do. Hopefully we have them back soon. We are 3 days away from the NFL draft. Regardless of the fact that we are fully virtual with this situation right now, I am still so excited because this is just a life-changing time for these guys. And I'm actually really intrigued to see how things are going to play out in terms of the fact that once these guys get drafted and go to their new teams and, relocate, they're not going to be able to get situated the way they normally would and just dive into the playbook and get in groups and workouts. And, OTAs is going to be different unless something changes in the next 14 to 21 days. So this is going to be really interesting to see. But we mentioned last week that Tua was getting a lot of heat for the injuries that he had to overcome coming out of his collegiate season, and it seems like that's not the only heat that he has had to take so far. Tua apparently didn't do too well on his Wonderlic test, but he had a very amazing person come and speak on his behalf. Richard Sherman, who we know is extremely intelligent, not only on the field as a defensive player, but, he graduated from Stanford, and I'm pretty sure he got a 24 on his Wonderlic test, but he says that he doesn't think it's that significant, and he doesn't think it should be playing with players' draft stock. He also gave, a long list of MVPs of the NFL who actually didn't do well on their Wonderlic test, but clearly their skill set translated from college to the NFL, and a perfect example of that is Lamar Jackson. He was getting a lot of heat as to whether his skills would translate from college to the NFL, and everybody saw what he did in his 2019 season, and he scored a 13 on his Wonderlic test. So let us know how significant you guys think this test is. Should it really mess with a player's draft stock? What are the most significant things that you would think a GM and a coach needs to look for in order to take a chance on a player, and make sure that they're a first and second and third round draft pick? So let us know your thoughts on that. Comment below, because it really fascinates me to think what should really be weighed so heavily. Now, mock drafts have been coming out obviously since February, and it's been very different. Aside from the fact that players cannot relocate and hop right into things, you have to think a lot of pro days were canceled, a lot of one-on-one meetings were canceled. Teams invite players out for workouts to just get that extra eye on them, and all of that could not take place this spring. So the mock drafts, we all talked about the fact that Tampa Bay is going to be looking to protect Tom Brady. You can't have a 43-year-old in the pocket and him not be protected. So Daniel Jeremiah came out and said that the bottom line is that the Bucs' priority is to protect Tom Brady. And we kicked around some names the past couple of weeks between Micaiah Becton and Andrew Thomas. Now, a lot of mock drafts make it look like Andrew Thomas will be one of our new offensive linemen. Do you think we need to hop up to grab him? The Bucs have the 14th pick, and there's been a lot of chatter on whether the Bucs need to trade up and if it would be worthwhile. You guys got my notes and my intake on the fact of why I think it's not worthwhile. But again, let us know your thoughts. We are just 3 days out from that draft. And what I'm super excited about, too, is that I mentioned to you guys that not only do we need to get an O-line to protect Brady, but I think he needs a dominant running back. Ronald Jones, he's awesome, but you need that big back. Again, the dynamic that I told you guys to picture was Brady and Blunt up at the Patriots. So it looks like we might be snatching somebody from Wisconsin in the second round. Fingers crossed that we do, because I would think that that's a great fit, in addition to Tom Brady and the Bucs. Now, in other NFL news quickly, the Jags made a surprising move today by releasing one of their most productive wide receivers. Marquise Lee was released today, which lets you know that they're probably creating capital and wiggle room to snag somebody in the first round of the 2020 NFL draft. And clearly they want to add offensive weapons to their offense for Gardner to have more people to throw to, but I was still very surprised at them getting rid of Marquise Lee out of everybody on that roster. So it'll be intriguing to see what team snatches him now that he is a free agent, and what wide receivers they have their eye on for rounds 1, 2, and 3. Other than that, there's been no other timeline updates as to when teams are going to be resuming and how they're going to go about doing so. We talked about, the MLS, the NHL, and kind of the kick around ideas that these teams have been going on about. But last week, we mentioned that amongst these pro teams that were in the middle of a season or just kind of getting started, the XFL, instead of pausing, decided they were just going to cancel the entire season. So tonight, we have the pleasure of chatting with XFL Tampa Bay Viper linebacker Dee Mount to discuss season cancellation and the first XFL season that took place. What's up, Dee?
How's it going? Thanks for having us, Kasey.
Not a problem. Now, of course, there's like hundreds of questions because you're a part of something that's going to go down in history. Like, you're a part of the first season of the XFL. So for you guys that don't know much about Dee, he was drafted in 2015. He played in the NFL. He's a dominant linebacker, and now he's in the XFL in Tampa Bay. And you're being spoiled coming to Tampa, right?
Oh, right. It was great leaving because I was living in Denver prior to this, and it was in December when I got the call, so it was great coming from snow and landing, in the sand and everything. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
You get to go to one of the vacation capitals.
Right.
So again, so many questions, because that's super exciting that you got, a chance to play in the NFL, as well as, what's going to become legendary to be a part of the XFL. What's been the biggest difference between the NFL and the XFL?
As far as play goes, I think it's a lot faster. We in the NFL, it's a lot more resting in between plays, and the SFL is quicker paced, and the speed of the game wasn't that lower than what I've been used to. But that's pretty much it. I mean, the competition kind of was the same. It was still high level football, and practice felt similar. It's the only thing that it was just the games were a lot quicker and a lot less drugged out, which the players enjoyed.
Yeah, definitely. Now, I noticed that you guys kind of took off your season on the road and traveling a lot. You guys weren't home for 2 or 3 games just about?
Oh, yes. So we were, I believe, the only team that had to, go back-to-back away games, and as many miles as we put on. I mean, we flew to Seattle the second week after New York, and those are both hard games to, play on the road. So especially with the time difference.
Oh, yeah. And those are big flights on you guys' legs and stuff.
Oh, so definitely.
Yeah. How was that trying to get grounded and acclimated and still play to such a high level after big flights like that?
Well, you kind of go through training camp, kind of expecting, to play those 2 games, and we kind of trained for it throughout the week, and we knew the fight that we were going to have going into it, and that kind of made it different. I mean, that made the loaders different. And honestly, we knew what the talent we had in the locker room and what we were going to face. So it was, we went out there and, took care of, what we could take care of on our side of the ball. And that's all we could help for.
Yeah. Sounds like you guys were already kind of mentally prepared for all of that, to just attack it and handle it as best as possible. Now, because you guys were in the first season of XFL, and they tried to start up a league called the Alliance, and that didn't work out. They actually didn't even end up playing the final game of the season. Were you surprised at the fan base that ended up showing up, or were you confident in the fact that there was something appealing enough for people to show up for?
Well, speaking on my side of sports, I feel like the country kind of bleeds football on, in the fall, and everything kind of dwindles down as the winter comes and spring comes, and I think the fan base, like I was like, man, this thing could be huge, if we can get fans to commit to it and to go to games, which they have. I mean, the games are outstanding, wild, and crazy, and a lot of fun. So, us as players, we definitely appreciated that.
Yeah, that was definitely exciting. I'm not gonna lie, I was quite surprised. Like game one, I was like, holy crap, a lot of people really showed up to this. But
Oh yeah.
I mean, you're right. Football just turned into something that's not just a fall thing. And like everyone gets the football blues when we get into that off season, quote unquote.
Yeah.
But like now that we're minimizing off season, I think people are looking forward to keeping football around, all year round. So were you shocked, upset, sad that they chose to just cancel the season rather than pause it and let you guys finish it out, especially because this is the first season of the XFL?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think for us as a player, I'm sure I can speak for a lot of the other guys that we were completely taken off guard. After the season ended, I'm pretty sure across the nation we got together and had team meetings based on what our season will be, and they assured us that, hey, we're going to try to take care of you guys for the rest of the year and financially, and if you guys need to do anything, as far as medically to your bodies, you will be, taken care of. And it just came as a shock to us, after the Corona thing hit and everything, went in a tank as far as our economy goes. Just, they had to make a decision to keep us and, let us go. And they made, the decision that we're talking about today.
Yeah, in terms of letting you guys go. And
Exactly.
now, like, any kind of like hard feelings to the fact that like the XFL is run and funded by the WWE, but like SmackDown and everything else is still going on. Like, does a part of you feel like, okay, if they can still wrestle, we should still be playing?
Well, no. So I mean, it's kind of hard because us as players, us as competitors, we want to play football. Like that's why we were chosen to be a part of this league, is to play football. But at the same time, we understand like this is impacting everyone across all industries, and it's just not us who are taking a beating, and we're kind of understanding of that, and I'm envious only because I still really want to play that last half of the season, but like I said, I respect Vince McMahon's decision, and I don't have anything bad to say about it.
Yeah, safety first at this point. Like,
exactly.
Just let it ride out. All right. So it's like, what's your quarantine routine looking like? I know everybody's kind of getting stir crazy because it's like wake up and like change your pajamas. So it's like as an athlete, like how do you try to give yourself some sense of like normality or routine? Like what does your day look like?
Well, so a lot of us, myself included, have played in the NFL for 4 years, 3 years, 2 years. So we kind of have an idea on what we want to do during this time, because right now it would be considered OTAs. So if you played in the NFL, you kind of know that you need to get your body clock and everything going before camp hits, because once you hit the camp, it's you hit the ground running. Yeah, exactly. And so for me, I feel like I've been, trying to. I mean, I gave myself a break like 2 weeks after the season because I needed to heal or whatnot. But I've been trying to wake up like at 8 o'clock every day, and I recently picked up rollerblading. So I've been kind of doing that for like 20 minutes in the morning just to get that cardio before my lift. So that's kind of what I've been doing.
You sound iffy about the rollerblading. How's that going?
Oh, man, let me tell you. So if I didn't have sweats on, I can show you my knees are all scuffed up. I have marks on my elbows, but it's fun, it's just fun because
you're warming up your muscles.
Yeah, exactly. See, right? I'm warming up everything, and it's good. It's good to just go outside and feel the sun, and just with the music playing as you're like rollerblading. I know I scare some people when I'm coming down the hill though, because it's like impossible for me to stop. So,
no, if it makes you feel better, I don't break. I jump into grass. That's right. Exactly. It makes me feel way more secure than using that rubber thing. Like, no, the eraser on the back of that's not stopping me, and I'm only 5'1". So I'd be scared.
Yeah, at 6'5", 260, coming down the hill towards a little girl riding her little tricycle.
Like she's terrified, you're terrified.
And her parents are too. So
Yeah, well, that's exciting. All right, so we have like some fun stuff because, of course, like we said, everyone's kind of going stir crazy with this quarantine situation. The biggest thing that we want to know is, are you like going insane, or are you a closet like homebody? Like, are you secretly okay with like having this downtime because nobody can judge you, nobody can like look at you any kind of way because like it is what it is, we're stuck.
Yeah, so let me tell you this. I have never considered myself being close to being a homebody, right? So I'm like, the first 2 weeks I was kind of going like just crazy, like hitting up my friends, like trying to make up plans. And like, bro, do you understand? Like, we are quarantining right now. Like, you just need to sit down somewhere and just chill. So,
like, no, you're not coming over and sitting 6 feet from me on my couch.
Exactly. Like, it is what it is. But some guys are scared. Some guys, I started to, kind of listen to him and, try to pick up little hobbies here and there, like skateblading or rollerblading. And I picked up shaving, and picked up some other things too that I'm not quite so good at. I'm learning how to cook finally, and that's been cool.
A lot of people are going to come out of this with new skills and benefits. It's funny that you even mentioned that though, because that was about to be my next question. Because like on a girl's end, we have to learn to like pamper ourselves. Like I feel sorry for the people who like can't get their hair dyed and they look crazy right now at home. Every girl is learning how to do their own nails right now, and that's just terrible. Like I can tell you, it looks like my niece did mine, so you can't see anything. Everybody's got to pick up new things, and then like the biggest thing on Instagram is like one more person bakes banana bread. I'm not gonna lie, I was one of those people. I try to jazz it up with peanut butter in it to change it. Like, okay, mine's peanut butter banana bread, so I'm not basic. But so what's the biggest thing that you think you've like picked up on and like maybe kind of conquered?
I'm gonna say probably shaving. To be honest, I don't know if you noticed, like you can't really see like on the resolution on this camera, but I've cut myself a few times. I shaved today. I gave myself a little fade, I guess, and I think it looks good, especially for like a first-ish try.
Round.
No, so let me tell you, the first time I attempted, I like went halfway and I looked at the other side. I was like, oh no, I can't do that. I can't go through with this. So I watched a bunch of YouTube videos, and my face was like stuck like this for like a week or 2 weeks until I could I swear I had to look
trying to get it more situated, trying to find the right YouTube video so that you can like get your life together.
It's so saturated. So,
well, now I get why most guys are doing the quarantine beard. Like every guy is now doing like facial hair as much as possible. It's like no shave November all over again.
Oh no, we don't want to go through that. You don't want to see me with like a beard. I'm just like a nasty, like with a beard,
It's too grisly. All right, what's been your biggest SOS during quarantine? Do you need new music? Do you need, or you're like craving your favorite food that you know you can't make and you wish that you could just like have, or toilet paper? I still don't understand the whole toilet paper epidemic, but like,
I know, right? Because it's like if I was gonna like die from a sickness, I think I would not be thinking about toilet paper. Like
stressing about like having all the TP from the store.
Yeah, I know. Like, what are you guys doing? Gonna build a house with toilet paper?
I don't know. I don't even know why that became so big. I know for me, my biggest SOS is like new music. Like I have to, I'm working out like all day now because it's the only thing to do when I'm not working. So it's by workout number 3, I'm not listening to the same.
You're not listening to
something new. That's my SOS. Somebody send me like a full playlist.
Oh my goodness. Let me see. My SOS has kind of been probably Netflix. I've been looking up new shows. I recently just watched Tiger King. That's when everyone's been raving about, and
I haven't seen one episode, and I'm not gonna lie, I don't know if I'm gonna hop on that wagon.
I know it was so difficult for me because for me, I just felt embarrassed the whole time. I'm like, man, other people are watching this, and like this is what America represents right here.
Yeah, and everybody is on board. So, okay, let me ask you, because you could probably give me this insight. Is that what that whole cool cats and kittens thing is?
Yes.
Is it from that? Okay.
Yes, it is. It's been taking the internet by storm. So I kind of like
did on.
Yeah, I did my due diligence. I had, I watched it, and
you went basic. Yeah, there's about 98%.
I went full blown basic there.
No, I struggle with that. Like now I feel like I have ADD because I'm like, I don't want to rewatch things, and then I don't know what to watch. And then I'm just like, even like without quarantine, I struggled with like getting through a whole show. So like now I'm really struggling.
Definitely.
And it's like, okay, I have no clue what to try to watch. So
Game of Thrones. Have you seen that?
And Peaky Blinders. and I
Oh
watch like
yeah,
10 minutes and then I'm done.
oh, that's great. Yeah, you got to go check out Game of Thrones. Like, you should get,
Oh, I actually might rewatch that. I
so you
wasn't
have
too into
watched
it at
it.
first. I did. I was so against it. I was like not doing it. And then I
Yeah,
hopped in on like season 3 because my friends know me. They're like, if it doesn't pick up 10
yeah,
minutes into the first episode, you lost me. And they were
yeah.
like, no, Casey, you have to watch like 5 episodes. And I was like, that's a commitment. 5
Five,
episodes to get on
no,
board
five
with
1
something.
hour and like 30-minute episodes.
I swear it was 2.5 hours. Like, no, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so one big question I have before we wrap up is, you were with the Broncos for how long?
2 years.
For 2 years. So of course you probably had some face-to-face time with Von Miller.
Yeah.
Thoughts and feelings about the fact that he just came out within the last week and mentioned that he has actually been diagnosed with the coronavirus. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, Von's an extremely healthy guy. He's really into fitness and health and nutrition.
Yeah.
In fact, he's a person who introduced me to soy protein, and
Really?
yeah, I know, yeah, and multivitamins and things like that. And for me, like, man, I was like, dang, I'm kind of nervous, like, because I wasn't expecting a guy like Von to make it, because like I said, he's into health, and he'll lock down everything and be safe and remain safe. And but I also think he's going to be fine, just because he's so healthy, and like I said, this whole coronavirus is very scary, and it should be taken serious, regardless of how healthy you believe you are. But I'm pretty sure he was doing the right things and taking the right proper precautions, and I'm wishing him and his health the best.
Yeah, definitely. That is a solid point. I mean, there's no bias to coronavirus and who it's going to affect and how it's going to affect them. So, yeah, definitely everyone's got to take it seriously at this point because he is a super healthy person. I had the honor to interview him actually last year at the Pro Bowl, and he is very on top of everything he does health-wise. So it's crazy to think that. But so hopefully there's a XFL season 2, and you get to stay hanging out with us in Tampa Bay in one of the best places
the
in
best
the
city, the best cities. I'm telling you.
Yes, you get to play in paradise. But you just say what?
Everyone talks about the Miami and Fort Lauderdale's, and no one ever talks about the Tampa. But until you come here and see how beautiful it is and how amazing the people are, like, you get swallowed up in this culture, because it doesn't even feel like Florida. It feels like its own tropical, vacation. And I really love it. And I hope 2021 picks up, and we remain Vipers in here. So
for sure. Well, hopefully we'll catch you on Bayshore blading and not tackling any toddlers out there. So
you got it.
Keep pads going, and we'll catch you on Bayshore. Thanks so much for joining us tonight and giving us insight on the XFL season and what you're doing to stay sane during quarantine, and just keep it up until we all get to be together again. Best of luck next year.
Thanks, Kasey.
Not a problem.
Okay.
All right, guys, that is it for us tonight. Be sure to catch up with us on Wednesday, and we may even have some NFL draft specials taking place because, again, we are just 3 days away from the NFL draft, and virtual or not virtual is an exciting time for these young guys to take off on a new chapter of their life. So make sure you tune in with us on Wednesday at 8 p.m. for FNN Sports Take with me, Kasey Hudson. I'll catch you guys on Wednesday.